Hello everybody, I'm James from Download to Play, and welcome to my latest review. Late last year, I did a little written review for a website called VGU.tv for a launch day PS4 game called Resogun. I figured, since the review was already written, I might as well make it into a video review for you guys to enjoy. And it's not like I was too lazy to write a new script or something. Anyway, this was written in November of 2013, so it might seem a bit dated, but I hope you enjoy it anyway. In the build-up to the release of the new generation of consoles, one of the major talking points was the rise of the indie game into the mainstream realm of gaming, and the promise of a more open and diverse marketplace on consoles for these indie games to thrive. Upon the release of the new PlayStation 4, gamers with a PlayStation Plus subscription were lucky enough to find that two of these talked-about indie titles were available for free on day one. One of these games, Resogun, is a 2.5D side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, or shmup for short, developed by Housemarque, a Finnish developer also known for its Super Stardust series. It is hard to imagine that a game with such a simple concept could be considered an early poster boy for the PS4's graphical and visual capabilities, but having sat down and played it in person, it's safe to say that a strong case could be made for this opinion. Draped in a sleek metallic color palette with hints of neon, the game features some of the most impressive lighting effects that I've ever seen in such a small game. Shooting and destroying enemies creates bright and colorful explosions that make great use of the PS4's capability of particle effects, which is a subtle but greatly effective inclusion. Destroying larger groups of enemies creates a beautiful light show that is like candy for the eyes, and will keep you from growing weary of the visuals. Each level ends with a cutscene of a dazzling and gorgeous fireworks display that never fails to impress me each and every time, and represents a nice cherry on the cake of the already beautiful visuals delivered throughout the game. While on the surface it may appear to be just a pretty side-scrolling bullet hell, there are small details added in that expand the strategy of playing the game that you must use in order to increase your scores and work your way up the leaderboard. Each level has you defeating wave after wave of enemies with your regular weapon, which you use with the right thumbstick, and any other weapons in your arsenal, before finally facing a boss. However, as an added challenge, you are tasked with saving 10 humans, which are little green men who look like the avatars on washroom signs. You don't have to save them to beat the level, but you get higher scores for doing so. To save them, you must destroy special glowing spaceships that the game calls keepers. When you destroy them all in one group, a human will be released from a glass cube somewhere on the map. You must then retrieve them and drop them into one of the two receptacles, where you will get an immediate bonus such as a power-up to your weapon or an extra life. This concept adds a fresh layer of strategy not normally found in shmups or bullet hells. This will satisfy the hardcore and those who want more of a challenge, but being that it is completely optional, it also does not deter from the more casual players who don't care for the high score reaching. Apart from using the control sticks to move and shoot, each of the shoulder buttons on the DualShock 4 does something unique that comes into play when trying to achieve the best score possible. Pressing R1 allows you to unleash an overdrive attack that is useful when surrounded by enemies as it slows down time and attacks at long range, letting you destroy large amounts of enemies and racking up your score. On the other side, pressing L1 allows you to boost across a level and comes in particular handy if you are unable to use your overdrive attack, or if you need to zip across a level to save a human that is about to be destroyed. The other two shoulder buttons include moves that would generally be considered last resort functions. If you are carrying a human, pressing L2 allows you to throw the poor guy away to safety if you believe you will be destroyed by an onslaught of enemies or bullets, since a human carried by a destroyed ship will be killed as well. R2, on the other hand, unleashes a bomb that decimates the entire field of enemies, but drastically reduces your score, a tough call for the more hardcore players. Knowing when to utilize each of these functions adds more strategy to the game, and pulling off each of them correctly can result in extremely satisfying and potentially epic situations, in which escaping by the hair on your neck will keep you firmly placed at the edge of your seat with adrenaline pumping. Even without all these options, the gameplay is so fast, frantic, and fun that you will feel this same sensation of excitement playing the game more casually, and it will be this deeply satisfying gameplay that will keep you invested in Resogun over time. There are 5 levels to progress through in the arcade, each set up in a cylindrical plane with their own unique level and enemy design that keep the experience as fresh as it can be for the type of game it is. I do wish that the developer would have switched up the color palette away from the metallic blue hue that covers the levels, and perhaps included a few more levels to expand the experience a little bit, but these are minor complaints in the grand scheme of things. One thing I adored about this game immediately was how epic the boss battles were. After defeating a set amount of the main enemies, you are left to fight a giant geometric shape of sorts that could easily be the size of 100 of your ships. The comparison of scale makes you feel like David fighting Goliath, and it is all the more satisfying when you finally break the monster down to pieces. Defeating the bosses is pretty straightforward. There are clearly placed weak points that must be attacked as the boss moves around and exposes them to you. While this may seem easy enough, in the higher difficulty levels, the challenge comes in your ability to maneuver with precision to avoid all of the bullets that will be coming your way. If you believe you've found the perfect spot on the map to exploit the boss's weakness, you better expect a bullet to be flying your way as soon as possible. The result is a usually exhilarating encounter where careful movement and precise timing will keep you alive, and utilizing your skill in this regard is ultimately satisfying, exciting, and just plain fun. With the boss fights, as with the rest of the game, the challenge comes through the gameplay itself, without any hindrance from the controls, which are very responsive and tight. All of this makes for a greatly satisfying game feel and high-octane excitement. In addition, because of its design, the game also has endless amounts of replay value. With no narrative that would make it an open and closed experience, and with focused gameplay and motivation in the form of high scores, it is the epitome of a pick-up-and-play experience. With all of its addictive visual feedback, gameplay, and simple yet effective strategic elements, you would actually have to make an effort not to play it a little every day. The trophy list that accompanies the game truly mirrors the game's addictive design and replay value quite well, and serves as a solid checklist for those who want to expand their experience even more. Complete the arcade mode and looking for a different kind of challenge? Try collecting each of the 10 humans on each stage. If accomplished, you get the satisfaction of facing and overcoming a higher challenge than the game demands, and if you care for them, a trophy to prove your accomplishment. And, if you care to try, there's an online cooperative mode to boot. Apart from my wishes that the developers would expand the game a little bit by adding a few more levels or maybe even more ships with different attributes, Resogun is still an awesome little game in a tight package. The game is all about providing very fun and addictive gameplay, with the ultimate goal of breaking high scores, and it makes no mistake in delivering that experience. With awe-inspiring visuals, energetic music, unlimited replay value, and small yet crucial tweaks to change up the shoot-'em-up formula, there is absolutely no reason to pass this game up at $15. Once this game sinks its claws into you, you'll be playing for a very long time. Resogun is Reso fun. I don't even hate myself right now. Since my initial review, Housemarque has released DLC for the game that actually fix a lot of the issues I had for its initial release. For one, there is now a ship creator, where you can make your own custom Resogun ships to use in the game. You can give them different attributes to tailor-make it to your own style of play, which is a great inclusion for those who want to try different styles. Some of the creativity on display for custom-built ships is pretty impressive, and reminiscent of the creative power in games like Little Big Planet. Another inclusion is the ability to play local multiplayer, which is a huge deal for people like myself who love couch co-op and are in the vicinity of other gamers. Finally, there are 2 new game modes that have been added to the mix to keep the gameplay fresh and interesting. The first mode, Survival, may actually be my new favorite way to play Resogun. In this mode, you have 1 life, so if you die, the game is over. Obviously, the focus is on survival, and seeing how long you can stay alive while around you enemies come in larger waves. The game progresses with a day-night cycle, with each day representing a level as you play. This time, when you collect humans, you don't need to bring them to the receptacles, but instead you just absorb them and, after collecting enough, you get some sort of upgrade. The focus on survival and being careful was right up my alley, and I feel like this is how I will play the game the most from now on. The other mode, Demolition, I did not enjoy quite as much. It is essentially a Brick Breaker meta side-scroller, and I didn't get much enjoyment out of it. Still, I can see people having fun with this mode, so its inclusion is not much of a detriment. Whatever way you look at it, the $5 price tag for the DLC is more than fair considering what you're getting for the upgrade. More ways to play and customize will always be a plus in my books. Hey guys, thanks for listening and taking the time to watch this video. If this one seems a little formal, it's because it was an appropriation of a prior written review that I already did. So I had a little less room to be a little loose, I guess. From now on, however, my reviews will have as much sarcastic humor as I deem necessary, and I'm gonna try to be a little more loose with my delivery. That being said, if you like this video, please feel free to subscribe and give it a like. And if you want to see more, check out my other videos.